All right. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited today to be chatting with my friend Sheila all about holistic health and wellness, that mind body connection, and all the different alternative holistic modalities that she and I both use and practice ourselves. So, Sheila, welcome. I'm so glad that you decided to go live with me today. I figured we are just getting to know each other, and we had so much in common when we chatted. We're both in alternative healthcare solutions together now as practitioners and vendors. And so, like I said, I just wanted to be able to chat with you and share you with everybody today. So I'll introduce myself. I'll let you introduce yourself for anybody who's watching who may know you and not me. I'm Jodie Solberg. I am a trauma focused certified master hypnotherapist and transpersonal wellness coach with 25 years of experience in mental and behavioral health. And I'm your guide to tapping into the power of your subconscious mind and accessing your inner wisdom to heal from challenges, things like the effects of trauma, anxiety, burnout, physical health conditions, as well as helping you speak into your children's subconscious mind for more positive behaviors and optimal health and development so you can have so much more peace, joy, and harmony in your life, in your household, with your work. And so that is what I do. And Sheila, share with everybody a little bit about you and what you do. Oh, we can't hear you. Uh-oh, I don't know what happened. Okay, so for some reason, there's one box for your audio and one for your video. So I guess we're, I
There.
added, you're on here twice. So I added you
Did
on the
that
second time so we can hear you.
okay, can you hear me?
I can, yeah, but only if I bring up that
Okay,
other
good.
box. So we're just going to
I'm not
stand
sure.
technology. It's
All
all
right,
good.
as well.
I'm just glad we can hear you now.
There you go. I did something to the audio. I don't know if that helped or not. I switched it out. It looked like because I have a headset on, so I adjusted it. But we will see. Well, I am Sheila Gardner. I am a voice and wellness coach. So I do a lot of voice coaching. So I work with singers and even some speakers and kind of work with them I'm a performance based coach. So I like to get my students performing on the stage, in front of people. I'm in front of people all the time, teaching, coaching, singing, performing as well. And then also on the wellness end, I started, as a mom on this journey. And my focus with my wellness on the wellness end is essential oils, and then even household products, kind of turning some of those things that we use daily, getting rid of some of the more toxic ones, and learning how to live more non-toxic, and getting into that focus is definitely something that I've really enjoyed and been focusing on. So it's kind of an interesting marriage there with what I do, with the voice coaching, but I also tie in the wellness end of it too, because with my voice being my instrument, but it's also part of my body. So there's a lot that ties in there to keep that healthy, to keep my body healthy, so my voice is strong. And then there's ways that I do that, and I tie that into the wellness end.
That's amazing. And when we started to get to know each other, you were telling me a little bit about your health journey and how you kind of found yourself in this alternative holistic world, as well as, of course, with essential oils. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that with everybody.
Yeah, well, it started, oh my goodness, it started a long time ago. Even before I started to get connected into the essential oils. So it was around 2010, 2011. I had just had my youngest daughter. And so my I have three kids. I'll back up. So I have three children, and my husband and I dealt with some fertility issues early on. So my oldest daughter, who'll be 21 in just a couple weeks, actually, she is about 5 years, almost 5 years older than our second child. So there was this long, there was a struggle getting pregnant with our first, getting pregnant with our second, and then boom, we had our third. All of a sudden, it was like 9 months after I had had my son, I found myself pregnant again with my youngest daughter, which was funny because, we weren't sure that that could happen. So it was very much a miracle and it was great. But I did have my two children very close to my second and third children, I should say, very close together. So they're 17 months apart. And my health was not nearly where it should have been. I mean, I'm so much healthier today than I was then. So I actually developed a vocal cord polyp in around 2010, 2011. And so much to where not only could I barely sing, I really struggled to talk. And I was still teaching at the time, not as my schedule wasn't quite what it looks like today, but I did have a few students. And so I was kind of working on building that up, but I was really struggling and my health was struggling. So that was a challenge for me. So I started looking at ways that I could avoid surgery because at that time I had three children, 7 and under, and you're like, there's no way I can go through surgery. My voice doctor said, hey, if you have the surgery, you cannot talk, you cannot whisper, you cannot laugh, you cannot cough for 7 whole days. And I thought, that is not going to happen with me having three young children in my home, two of them toddlers. And so, you're constantly reaching out and saying things to your kids. There was no way that I was going to be able to be completely silent. I could not engage my vocal cords for a full 7 days. So we wanted to look at other options. So I went through vocal therapy, and then fast forward to 2012, I decided that it was time for me to go and revamp my health completely. And so I'm 5'2", so I'm pretty short. I'm pretty much a very small frame. At that point, I found myself in January of 2012. I was about 141 pounds. And so for me, I was sluggish. I was tired. I had these young kids, and I'm like, I cannot be living this way. I have no energy. I cannot keep up with them. I'm not able to do the things I need to do. Plus, I'm homeschooling my oldest at the time, so she was in elementary school. And I thought I need to get my energy level back. So within about 9 months, I lost over 30 pounds. I had dropped back to my pre-pregnancy weight and basically just decided to cut my portions back and cut out my soda. So when I was pregnant with my youngest, I drank Coke every day out of a straw in a can. It relieved my headaches. I had such bad headaches because
Oh,
I'm migraine prone. So I had to, so that was my way of dealing with it, was dealing. So then after I had her, I was still drinking my Coca-Cola every day. And oh, it was horrible. So I ditched Coke. I ditched all that cold turkey from 2012. I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. And basically started that in January. And by September, I have pictures online. It's amazing, that transformation of, whoa, that I was able to make that. So that was my journey. I started eating more organic, started getting the kids, eating healthier. We really started to revamp the whole household. All right. And so a lot of those changes started then. And we just kind of continued them on. I started looking at more holistic options. We started diving into colloidal silver, and there were other things, and got into a homeschool co op. And there were some women there who were talking about essential oils. And they were like, oh, and I thought, what is this? I have no idea what this is. So I was very curious about it, but I didn't dive into it too much. I was just so busy as a mom and everything I had going on, and then working on my teaching business, because I was starting to get busier with my vocal coaching as well. In the afternoons and evenings, I would be doing that. And my husband is also a music educator, so we both are. He does percussion, drums, music theory, so he's teaching as well. So we're very much kind of, we have very similar things that we do with our careers. But anyway, so moving forward into now 2017, so I had a friend of mine. She was basically making these natural products at home, out of her home. She started creating, I think it was like a natural bug spray, which I loved because I didn't like using the chemical sprays. I was very much against that. Sunscreens, we were already using more natural sunscreens, with the kids, anything we're putting on our skin. She had a natural deodorant she started. So there were different, and skincare products. She had some skincare products that she was doing. And so she contacted me because I was one of her customers, and she knew I also, was involved in my own business. And she was like, hey, I have been doing some research on essential oil companies, and I found one I want to partner with, and I'm looking to put a team together. Would you be interested in being involved? I was like, yes, absolutely. I literally said this was my next quest. I wanted to dive
mhm.
into that world, but I didn't know where to start. So I was like, this is perfect. I'm all in. Let's do this. And so that was my journey. That's where everything started with the essential oils. So that was 2017. And so my husband and I have been partnered with doTERRA Essential Oils. That was the company that we chose to focus with. And a lot of it is just by seeing the transparency with their sourcing, the purity of the oils, and then our stories, the things that we have come to know and love, and then how we've been able to use the products. And so I have since then I kind of relapsed in 2018, 2019. I had some health challenges, found out I had sleep apnea. Started seeing a functional doctor, which is funny because when people look at me, they're like, you do not look like a normal sleep apnea, person. And
Mhm.
so it ended up, it was mild, but it has to do with my jaw and then the aligning, like my neck. And
Mhm.
there was multiple things with the way it was the obstructive sleep apnea. So I actually sleep with the mouth guard. So it pulls that jaw forward and opens the airway. And
Mhm.
so I started doing that, but I was also being treated for high blood pressure as well. So that was something that was very frustrating for me. But I team with my chiropractor, great chiropractor. He's amazing. And I actually followed him he was here like 5 minutes from my house. And then he ended up moving to his own location. He was with another practice and moved. And now I drive like 40 minutes one way to go see him every week. And it's well
Mhm.
worth it. I absolutely am so thankful for him because he's just great. He helps me with those issues, even with my jaw. But so I've been connecting through there with all that. It's just, that's part of that holistic journey, right?
Yeah.
But with the essential oils, we just, we use them every day. We use them in different areas. I mean, I literally have different things I use them for. So I use one blend for hormonal support. So I'll use that in the mornings. I have another one that I actually use to help just kind of relieve any tension, just naturally supporting my body with different things that I felt that I've had issues with. I did have to lose some weight again over the last couple years because I kind of relapsed with that over COVID and then being sick with
Mhm.
COVID and dealing with some of that. So in 2022, I revamped my diet and changed everything again. I could not wear my wedding rings for about 2 or 3 years. I have those
Mhm.
back on again. I've been wearing them since 2022. So some of that, this is on my social media. You'll see some of the pictures. When I finally was able to get my wedding rings on again, I did a picture with it's just so amazed and so happy. It was very emotional because I wanted to be able to get these back on. And so I had a lot of inflammation. So when I look back at these pictures,
Mhm.
and so there were just some great products that I used that are part of our business that supported my journey. That supported me on that journey, and we're able to make that possible. So I can jump up in the morning now. I don't have all those aches and pains. I've lost the weight, I've lost that inflammation, and just feel so much better. I feel better now at 48. I just turned 48 this month. And so I feel better now than I did like 15 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
amazing that transformation and where I came on this journey. Because if you had looked at me 20 years ago and told me I was going to be making my own deodorant, and then I was going to be, using these essential oils. My kids tease me all the time. People that know me, they call it my witch's brew or my oils that I use. They always kind of tease me about it, the oil lady, right? They know I always have something, something very natural. And then the kids always laugh about it too. They're like, Mom, I know you've got something. But they come to me, Mom, I need something for this. And my youngest daughter, she's amazing. She kind of jumped right on board. She was about 7 when we got started. She's 14 now, so she's literally been living with all this half her life. So she's just right on board with it. She always the one carries the oils with her in her purse. Like she has everything with her, and she will hand a
Adorable.
roller bottle to a friend. Like here, use this for your upset, tummy. It'll help, with that. And so she's just right on board with it. And of course, all the kids always have oils on. If I can't find one, I'm going into their rooms looking to see who's got what I need. So it's very much a real thing for us. It's not just, it is literally a part of our daily lives. And so it's just something that we are, use and is a big part of that journey. And obviously there's other things too that we've gone into, our diet, just kind of keeping everything moving, drinking water and having, that support. So there's just a lot of things that we add to it. But I do feel I don't feel my age. And I think a lot of that is just because of this journey that I started 12 years ago now, I guess, in
Yeah.
2012. So crazy to think about it. It's been that long. But it's been a road for sure. I mean, it's been, been some ups and downs, but I do feel a lot better today than I did even when I first started 12 years ago. And so that energy level, I knew that in order to keep up with my kids, I had to do something, right? I had to do something. And a lot of it's up here, right? It's in
Mhm.
that you have to change your mindset, your belief system, right? To know that I can do this. I can make those changes, and as challenging as it is, it's waking up every day and making those decisions, right? Just doing little small steps every day. So, I know some people may be listening and they may think, oh, I don't know if I can ever do all of that. But to get where I was in 2012, to get where I am today, it was a lot of baby steps. It was a lot of, things along the way that I had to go through. And it's just a learning process, right? It's just all you're learning as you go. And I'm still learning today. So we're working on some other things as well. So even as far as like our dog, she was dealing with a cancer diagnosis. So she just had a surgery. So we're revamping her diet. We're I've talked to a veterinarian who specializes too with essential oils and holistic practices. So now we're getting ready to dive into that. I've never done that before. Brand new. So here we go.
Oh, well, welcome. Definitely talk to me if you have any questions about that. Because yeah, I've been on the deep dive with that for many years. And
Great. Good
for
to
me,
know.
for me, it all really started in, let's say, 2006. I was working with kids at the time, and you get sick and you get all the things and you blow it off and say, oh, it's just because the kids are full of germs and everybody gets sick all the time when they're around kids, and you make all these excuses. Well, I got a really bad sinus infection and figured out I had, which I have some different allergies to like medications and things. Figured out I have a particular allergy to any kind of sulfa antibiotics. And I had a reaction to the ibuprofen, which I was only literally, Sheila, because I don't like to take pills. I was taking one ibuprofen a day, like
Wow.
one pill. And I got a bleeding ulcer out of it. Between that and the sulfa
Wow.
medications, I had an allergic reaction to the antibiotics. And then that compounded with that one ibuprofen a day. I mean, I know people who take way more than that, was enough to put my body over the top. And, I ended up having to have exploratory surgery and figure out what was going on. And I literally couldn't eat because it was that part of your stomach where your stomach empties into your intestines. So that literally was so inflamed and closed up that the food couldn't move. And so I couldn't keep anything down. And literally it got to the point where they were wanting to put me on all this medication, like anti acid type of medications, for ulcers and things. And literally told me, well, sorry, you can't eat anything with fat. You can't eat anything with acid. You just can't eat. Like you're just going to have to figure it out and deal. There's nothing
Mm.
else we can do for you. And that was not a good answer at all. And I suffered with that for about a year or so before I was actually networking, and I met someone who did traditional Chinese herbal medicine and acupuncture, who I told her this, and she was like, no, that's not a good answer either. I don't agree with that. And she helped me completely reset my gut, because between the antibiotics and the reaction to that and all the medications that they had me on, it was stripping all my natural body's ability to digest properly and to
Mm.
heal itself. And so, went through that. She also helped me because, like you, had, hormone and fertility issues since my 20s. And so she actually helped a lot with that, with the acupuncture as well. So, I'm like, bonus, I get to heal my gut, and she's helping me a lot with my hormonal imbalances, and she's helping with allergies and, all of these things that I was dealing with. And so that was my first foray into, alternatives of, hey, if you don't like this answer. And I was very fortunate because my mom was always a really strong advocate for herself and was a good model for me in that, and had always told me, like, if you get an answer from a doctor that does not align with your gut of like what you know to be true about yourself, you go find somebody else. Like go find another answer. And so I did, and completely good ever since, not had any of those digestive issues since I worked with Robin, who was my acupuncturist and Chinese herbal medicine specialist. So that was wonderful. And then, yeah, fast forward to same thing, 2018. 2018 was an interesting year, I think, for a lot of us. And
Yes.
my husband affectionately calls it the year of death and destruction in our family. It was just like everything was happening around us. And I had I'm a Basset Hound mom, and one of my Bassets ended up getting a really rare, really aggressive form of cancer. And that's also when I was already starting with their food and things. I was looking more holistically a little bit, I was looking more, I wasn't feeding kibble or anything like that. I was feeding higher quality things.
Hmm.
So I was already interested in kind of going that direction. But when he got diagnosed, I immediately, I talked to the regular oncologist, and then I talked to a holistic vet and decided to go the holistic route with him. And I learned so much. I did a huge deep dive into all the things because we directly traced his cancer back to, we lived in a townhouse neighborhood where we couldn't control the landscaping. And so they were using chemicals in the
Mm.
landscaping. And we were able because it was so rare in the specific type that is directly linked back to things like Roundup. So those chemicals that they were using on the lawn, I mean, he was putting his paws in there. He's rolling around. He's, probably eating the grass or, whatever, and then licking, right? So
Mhm.
it was really sad and really aggressive and really quick. He was gone within 8 weeks. But I was
Mm.
able, through all these holistic methods, to give him the best quality of life that I could, because we knew that that was going to happen. But I didn't want him to be miserable the whole
Yeah.
time. I didn't want him, to have this like awful experience. And every time we would go even near the hospital where I took him the first time he crashed, he would just freak out. And I was like, okay, we're not doing that. Like, and so we went to the holistic
Wow.
vet, who was absolutely wonderful. And my girl, Basset Hound, I had already been at the holistic vet. And that's where I had really gotten into that before, because when we adopted her, she was so sick that they had taken her at our wonderful Basset Rescue here in Washington. They had taken her to all the regular doctors, all the regular vets, and they couldn't do anything for her. It was the same answer I got, actually, which is funny. This is in 20, oh gosh, like 2014, and right in
Mhm.
there, they had taken her everywhere, and they had said, well, she's super sick. She was having GI issues. And they said, well, there's nothing we can do for her. All the tests are coming back negative. We have no idea what it is.
Mm.
And so they took her to a holistic vet who actually also did Chinese herbs and different modalities, and got her homeopathic remedies, and it helped. And they, had placed her with me because they knew that I would keep that up, that I,
Yeah.
was somebody who was already kind of leaning that direction and got it and understood, and, took really good care of my boy and his food, and was able to afford to take care of a dog that had those kinds of ongoing issues. And so it's amazing, because when he passed, where we live now was our vacation property back in the day. So we had our little cabin. It's up in the woods. There's no toxins. It's
Mm.
amazing. He loved it. He never wanted to leave here, but we didn't live here yet. And after he passed, that we had a lot
Oh.
of dominoes that were happening. I was needing to take care of my health. I had been in a really bad car wreck and had a
Mm.
lot of the inflammation. So I understand what you were talking about,
Yeah.
and needed to heal myself. We needed a bigger one-story house because my mom was having health issues. She needed to move in with us. All the things were happening. And I was like, I want us to get out of here. This is a toxic environment. It's stressful. And let's do it. And so we made the decision 2018 going into 2019 to make lifestyle shifts with our businesses, with our careers, with our households, with everything. And now my girl's 14 at this point. We've been here for several years now, and she is the healthiest she's ever been.
That's
She has
awesome.
a holistic vet up here too, that you have been taking her to holistic vets ever since. And we don't use any chemicals in our household that could be toxic, or outside in our property, in our yard. And she has free range. And yeah, it's amazing. It's one of those things that sometimes those things, those hardships that we go through, or those diagnoses, or whatever it is, are a catalyst for us to make those changes, and to say,
Yeah.
okay, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. I have to change my mindset. I have to change the way I'm looking at something. I have to find those care providers. And I've been working with now integrative hormone specialists, integrative. I have an integrative oncology specialist for prevention, because I have a lot of family history, and do high risk screenings and things like that all the time. And so for me, it's really important to have a whole care team for
Yeah.
ourselves, and to have a multifaceted approach. And with what I do, obviously I help people work on the mindset, and I help them to be able to shift and change those habits and those patterns. And it starts on the inside, because our mind directs our bodies. And then it's all about, like you said, being open to find what's going to work for you, even if it's a little outside the box.
Hmm.
It's so funny to think that natural things are what's outside the box. I always find that ironic, because we become so medicalized in our society that, if there's not a
It's true.
prescription on it, like, how could it work? But literally, all these natural things have worked for thousands of years before we had those,
Right. Yeah. It's part of
medical, yeah,
nature, that
exactly.
God has
Yeah,
given us. And why not use it? Right. But I
yeah,
think, yeah, we've gotten away from some of that. So I feel like there is this shift back
I
to
do too.
nature, which I think is so important. I think it's important for us to really grasp onto that. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, a lot of us are going, they said, more non-toxic.
mhm,
And that's what I loved about our last AHS event. Of course, this month we have a theme every month at Alternative Healthcare Solutions. And this month it was
mhm,
toxic free life. And I talked about toxic thoughts and toxic relationships, and these, patterns that we get into. And there was, of course, a lot of you that talked about, getting rid of toxins in our environment, the things we're eating, the things we're putting on our skin, the things that are in our household, because they load up, they accumulate. So whether
right.
it's in our minds, in our bodies, in our environments, it really does add up. And I always do joke and say, well, you don't have to, like, chuck it all and move into the mountains like I did, but it sure helped me. So, you really can make so many changes. Like you were talking about, subtle changes, like little changes
Hmm.
in your diet, in your household, in your environment, no matter where you live,
Hmm.
and what you do. You really can make those shifts. We all have the ability to change, no
Hmm.
matter how young or how seasoned we are. Our minds can change, our brains can change, our bodies can heal. And like you said, we have those, innate abilities to
Hmm.
heal from within, if we're supported in the right way to do it. And so I'm just so happy that you're here at AHS with us. And I really want to invite, if anybody is watching and they haven't come and joined us for an event at
Hmm.
AHS, to absolutely do that. And I'll drop a link below the video to do that, but to just visit us and check it out. You can check it out for free. Come and see all the practitioners and everything that we're doing. And we have new events every month, and we also have replays up from our past ones. But it's all about just supporting you in health
Hmm.
and healing. And it's not at all anti-medical. It's about how things can be so complementary, and there's a time and there's a place for that. They keep us alive when we have an emergency, and they,
It's true.
help us to find out if something's going on. But
Hmm.
there's so much we can do, so much more that's preventative. and that can complement all
Mm-hmm.
of those things. And I love that Jamie, the founder, always talks about that. She's like, it's about supporting us from all sides. We're whole people. And so, let's figure out how, if something's wrong, how can we support ourselves to
Mm-hmm.
heal properly and for our bodies and our minds, to work together in harmony. But then also, if you're just starting to trend that way, like you said, if you're just starting not to feel good, or you're like, I'm feeling kind of inflamed and
Mm-hmm.
can't get the wedding rings on, or don't, have that energy or feel good in my body, but nothing's actually showing up yet as diagnosable or like wrong with you, there's things you can do to feel
Mm-hmm.
better. You can be proactive with that. And for me, like I said, there's been multiple times now with the car accidents or the ulcer I had, and these different things that I was dealing with, where I got so far as they could get me on the medical side. I was seeing chiropractors and massage therapists and physical therapists and my neurologist and all of the things, and I still needed to be able to get past a plateau. I was still
Mm-hmm.
hitting a certain point where I wasn't healing the way I would like to. I wasn't feeling the way I wanted to. And even they were saying, well, we've gotten you as far as we can, now, it's really up to you. And so you can be proactive in
Yeah.
that. And a lot of it was figuring out what was going on up here that was, keeping me from getting to that next level. And a lot of it was figuring out, like you said, on that holistic level, how
Mm-hmm.
I can reduce that inflammation, because it really is a team effort. It really is that whole care team that we can put together,
Yeah.
and we have so many amazing resources at AHS for that.
That is true, very true. We do, and I love that. I love being in that realm. And for me, once finding that functional doctor made a big difference because I dealt with a lot of different issues. I mean, I was dealing with symptoms of IBS too back in
Mhm.
2010 after my youngest daughter was born. And I went to my OB for one of my appointments and I explained to them some of the symptoms I was having. My mom has it. So,
Okay.
I always talk to my mom. I always tease my mom. My mom's like whenever I have a question or something's wrong, I call her like, okay, mom, do you have these, symptoms? And I
Yeah.
kind of, I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. And so she told me all the stuff she was dealing with and I was talking about the things that I was dealing with. So I went to the doctor and they were kind of like, I mean, basically my OB was like, you know what? It sounds like that's what you're dealing with,
Mhm.
and I already had kind of a good handle on it. I was working on, triggers and paying attention to what I was eating. So I was already even starting then. And he was like, I would just go with it because
Mhm.
he even admitted it's hard to diagnose some of these things, especially like autoimmune issues. And he was kind of like just telling me to kind of work with it, and sometimes that's what's so hard because to get an official diagnosis sometimes with certain things can be very challenging. And so listening to your body and really paying attention to those subtle little signals your body gives you,
Yeah.
you can start to make those shifts. And that's what I did. I started listening. I started tracking my cycles even.
Mhm.
And that was what, almost 15 years ago. And so of course things have changed a lot from my 30s to my 40s in that
Mhm.
area. So it's very different. But I started paying attention to when I would have flare ups and noticed that it was actually in the springtime versus fall and
Okay.
winter. So I started noticing, yeah, February, March, I had like these would
You can
start
see
to flare up.
patterns.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
could start to see the patterns. I was so in tune with what was happening with my body because I'm very analytical. So I start to
Mhm.
analyze patterns and behaviors and just things that were going on. And yeah, so I noticed that. So I was able to find that out. Now that's what worked for me. So I knew, okay, well, tends to be for whatever reason, that time of year tends to be an issue for what, in the springtime.
Mhm.
So, but I also figured out because that's when I got pregnant with my daughter, without any support, any fertility support, that was probably a more fertile time for me during the year. So when I
Yeah.
had different hormonal levels, I was
Mhm.
having those symptoms. Now, that is not medically, like nobody's ever confirmed that. That's just me
That's
figuring that
you
out.
getting to know your
But
body.
yeah, I just noticed these patterns. And then I noticed over my life, I just started noticing things. And I thought, okay, well, this is very interesting then. So I thought, well, maybe my body's just got these, cycles, these shifts. And
Mm-hmm.
so for some reason, yeah. And so I think as we look at things, that picture, we start to step back, then you can start to see those things. And I just would make, like I said, I made small changes in what I needed to do, diet wise, exercise, my sleep, which I struggled with sleep forever. I really was bad. I just didn't sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be so exhausted during the day. Of course, then we found out with the sleep apnea that
Yeah.
was part of
Difference.
it. Yeah, it was able to help with that, manage that. Yeah, so just lots of things. But my motto, even with my students, even with my voice students, and anything, is your small consistent daily efforts are
Mm-hmm.
what make the big changes. A lot of times when we look at something and we look at a big picture, it's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But when we can break it down into small steps, what do I need to do today? What can I do today? By doing that every day when you get up, you're going to look back, and even in a week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months, you will see the results, and you'll create these habits now because you've every day, right? And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to fall off the wagon, things are going to come up, we might stress. I love chocolate. So even where I'm at right now, I love dark chocolate. So I have my little, bits that I have every day. That's my thing. And
Yeah.
that's kind of, but it's something that if you have in moderation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to have those little things. Now, if I were to sit there and kind of eat the whole thing, right, a whole chocolate bar or something, it probably wouldn't feel so good. That wouldn't be a good thing. And I know that I can be a stress eater. So if I
Oh,
get stressed out, I'm going to go for more, you know what I mean? Like more of so I have to kind of balance that with, okay, well, let me go grab my water, let me go put a little bit of essential oil in there, maybe some lemon or lime. I started out with lime water this morning, with my supplements and everything when I got up, and I had some water before we had breakfast. My husband and I eat breakfast together. He actually makes me breakfast every morning.
that's
So I know it's kind of our time. Like, yeah, he usually takes care of breakfast, but he'll always make us an omelet of some kind. And because we grow tomatoes and peppers, and, so we have stuff in our
mm-hmm.
garden. And so it's nice. You go out there, just grab it. There's nothing like that. I mean, I love it. And
Oh,
then
it's
he
the
adds
best.
that, yeah, he adds that into our breakfast, which has been really nice. It's kind of our tradition now that got started. But yeah, and then that's kind of our time. So usually before, while he's making breakfast, I'll get, some of my supplements and get my water, some of my
Mm-hmm.
water intake in for the day. And so just small things like that. If you can just start to make something, give yourself something to do in the morning, a little, something to look forward to, maybe waking up a little early. If you have to be out the door, maybe if you can get yourself up just a little earlier in the morning and just have some time,
Yeah.
maybe that's something you need, little things, whatever it is. But it's something that if you do it daily and it's consistent, you do start to see those changes over time. And I found that that's what works for me. And I use that. And I don't know who's watching this video. If any of my students ended up seeing it, they're gonna know, like, oh, she's right. She says that all the time.
It's it all the time.
She
Yeah.
says it all the time because my students know they come in for a lesson once a week, and if they're coming in and there's nothing, I notice they're not practicing, or there's nothing, there's no changes. And I'm like, are you practicing at home? Because sometimes even the parents of some of the students will say, well, how are they doing? And I'm like, well, are they practicing at home? What are they doing at home every day? Because I said, they're with me once a week. What are they doing at home every day? What
Mhm.
kind of practicing are you doing on that daily basis? That's when you can see that change from week to week to week. And so that is what I tell people. It's the baby steps. It's
Mhm.
small shifts, it's small changes. And anyone can tackle that, no matter what it is that you have that you're concerned about, any challenge. If you can just look at it and just kind of break it down into smaller steps. And that's typically what I like to do when I talk to people. It's like, how can we do this in smaller steps so it feels achievable? It doesn't feel so overwhelming, because I get overwhelmed very easily by big things. And so
Mhm.
for me not to get overwhelmed, I have to start looking at it and in smaller pictures. So, but that's just me. I don't know. Hopefully, hopefully that's a help to someone,
Yes,
someone else that needs
absolutely.
to
You have
hear
to
that.
figure out, like you said, how to tune into your body and figure
Yep.
out how your body works. Same thing with how your brain works. And I'm such a huge
Yeah.
proponent of that. And I do a lot of that work with my clients, like you said, of figuring out, is that an emotional coping strategy? Is it a stress eating thing? How can we change those habits, setting up morning and evening routines that are going to serve and support them better? All of those things are so key. And like you said, breaking things down into those smaller pieces so that they're not so overwhelming. It's like, what can you do? And
Mhm.
Christine's here. Hey, Christine. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Christine's such an amazing support at AHS for us. So we're so glad that
I
you're
love
here.
Christine.
Well, Sheila, isn't she the best? Yeah, she is so good. So I would love, why don't we share where people can find us?
Sure.
So where can people find you if they're interested in essential oils or working with you? Like you said, you're multifaceted. And so even for voice lessons, where can they find you?
Well, I do have a website, so I have my link tree, and that I usually have up on my social media pages. So I have my, I actually, 'cause I'm streaming this on my personal Facebook page right now,
Hmm.
Sheila Gardner. But I'm also have a wellness page, Gardner Wellness Team, which is on Facebook, and then I'm Oil Mom 76 on Instagram. So that's me as well. And I know I've got a couple other things out there, but I do have links to my website, and on the website it will give you links to my website for essential oils, doTERRA page. It'll also link you back to my social media as well, so you'll get all those links, and you can contact me through there if you have questions. So whether it is for voice lessons, whether it's for something in that wellness end, where because I have people who reach out to me for stuff, I'm looking for this or I need this, and then we can certainly connect. And I do offer free wellness consults for people, and then there's like a wellness assessment that they can go and fill that out too. So
Great. And I found
oh,
your
thank you,
link
Jodie.
on your,
Thank
oh,
you.
I just spelled that wrong. I'm so sorry. It's Gardner Wellness.
It is, yes,
I
it
was
is
trying to
Gardner
type
Wellness.
and look at the same time. I'll fix it.
You
I
caught
will
it, I didn't even catch it. So
I would, yeah, I'm kind of a good editor.
awesome.
I will put a new comment in, but yes, we will get that in there. Like I said, trying to multitask doesn't always work so hot, but we'll get there. And for me, people can find me at psychedupsuccess.com. So easy enough to find me there, psychedupsuccess.com. They can find all the things. They can book a consultation with me. They can take 30 minutes to just have a conversation, see what is going on, what are the challenges that you're dealing with, and what would you like to work on, and make sure we're a good fit. And again, I love going ahead and you know basically being a referral source for people,
Mm-hmm.
hooking you up with that care team. I do know a
Yes,
lot of
absolutely.
people so are looking for different alternative wellness practitioners. If you'd
Mm-hmm.
like to join us at AHS, we would love to have you. And so I'll make sure that that link is in there too, to go ahead and just try it out and come see how we do things over at AHS. There's lots of practitioners that you can ask questions of, that you can learn more from. So would love to be able to share that as well with everyone. And you can come and visit me and Sheila over there. So there's my website, and really just get to know more. I think curiosity, a mindset of
Mm-hmm.
curiosity, and almost being like a detective, right? Again,
Mm-hmm.
learning how your brain works, learning how your body works, getting to know and trust your intuition, that inner wisdom about yourself, and about how you can become more healthy, those little baby steps that you can take is so, so valuable. And so I think I got it right this time.
Yes, you're
Yes, I
good.
spelled your name this time. Yay. Okay. So we are good to go there. So that is going to be under the video, as well as I'll drop that link for AHS as soon as we're finished. And we would love to definitely have a conversation with anybody who this piqued their interest or they're in a similar journey. Maybe you've been getting those answers that are like, well, there's nothing you can do, or yeah, you just can't talk for a week and you have toddlers and that's not going to work, or whatever it is that you're hitting the wall on. We would love to,
Mhm.
to talk to you about that. So please reach out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sheila, thank you for being here with
Thank
me. I
you. Thank you for
appreciate you
having
so
me
much.
on.
You're welcome. It's been so great to get to know you, and take care, everyone, and we will see you soon. Bye.